Hey everybody, welcome to the shop. We just emptied one of our kiln loads behind us of a disc firing, and I saw this baby in there and I thought, why not show off how we do our glazing on our ear gauge vases. So this is one of the biggest ear gauge vases that I make. It's an 8-pounder. And this one actually has a beautiful dragonfly design on the front. So we're going to take you through the process in order to put our glazes on our piece and get it fired, show you what it looks like in the end. So all that's coming up. Let's go ahead and get it started. Even though the main work that we're going to do on our piece is going to be sprayed, it's always good to have a layer that you're going to start with that's a solid underlayer. Just so in case you miss some spray that you're working with, that solid underlayer is going to be the base to make sure that there isn't any raw clay that's showing through. So I always start off with an underlayer, especially on the inside. And in this case, what I'm doing is getting ready to glaze the inside of the piece. Now, sometimes in smaller pieces, I will spray them like a mug or something like that. I'll go ahead and spray the inside, but because it's so small. But with this one, because it's a larger area on the inside, the chances of not getting into some of the cracks that are on the bottom are a bit higher. So if you pour the glaze in, you make sure that that first layer is a complete layer on the piece. So here I've put the glaze inside just a watering can basically, and it's easier then to get a nice clean pour out of the bucket. It's a little difficult to get a controlled pour like that. And now I'm just swishing it around on the inside, making sure I get this particular glaze as much as I can as close to the edge, and then I'll pour it out, get it started, and then make sure that I'm spinning it around all the parts. I'm checking inside, making sure I get started in the same spot, and give that a nice turn all the way to the finish point at the other side. And then I'll take a look on the inside and make sure everything's there. Now you'll notice some of it poured over the outside. That's not uncommon. Just go ahead and wipe that spot off with a sponge. Looks pretty good. So now it's time to get started with the spraying. The very first thing is to modify that color on the inside a little bit. So we have our first color is going to be a really, really dark green with some black inflection in it, which is great on the inside, but through studies and testing, we've found that if we put another color on the top of it, it really creates an interesting stone effect on the inside, as well as kind of a two-tone version on the inside, so that you have some on the top that's lighter and coming up over the edge, and then darker towards the bottom. And I found I kind of like that. So you'll see two of them that I'm working on here. I worked on one, the one that we have for our example is the one that I just did, and then this one is the second one that we have in this particular run that we're doing. Alright, so that takes care of the inside. Now I have a different color loaded up in the gun, and I'm ready to start on the bottom. Now, I didn't talk too much about the equipment that I'm using. As you can see, the spray booth is a Laguna spray booth with a really high-powered fan on the top, and the Laguna spray booth has a 10-inch exhaust on it, so be prepared to put a 10-inch hole in your side of your house. But it works really, really well. And then the sprayer I got at Bailey Pottery Supply and it works really, really well too. I actually use two of them. One of them is called the Critter, and that works really well. It just uses the mason jars. And then this one is one that I got just recently. That works really well as well. You'll see on the bottom is the pump that I use. I just got that at Harbor Freight, and it's a 2-gallon pump. It works really, really well. I would never go out and buy anything any more expensive than that one. It's a really nice one that I got from Harbor Freight, so it works great. The benefit of this sprayer compared to the Critter sprayer is that I found, and you see both of the jars to the side, the ones on the bottom are plastic with plastic tops, and the jars to the right. The ones on the top are glass with the, just the glass mason jars with the top. And I've found that those glass mason jars with the top are really, really difficult over time to open and close. As a matter of fact, you'll see a gripper to the right of those mason jars that's hanging on the pegboard there that I have to use in order to get the top off them after a while, because you just can't get them off with your hands. You have to use that tool, which is basically to get an oil off a car. And so it's really difficult to do. So that's the benefit of, and why I would prefer the sprayer from Bailey over the Critter sprayer that traditionally is used for this, that I've seen in many different shops before. So here you see me just working not only on the bottom now, but I'm getting inside all of the handles that are on the side and getting all the spaces, making sure that all the spaces are taken care of, first of all, that are difficult to get to. You want to get those handled first, and now you see me just going back and forth, just like painting a car. You've seen people paint a car before with a spray gun like this. Just going in passes from right to left, really thinking about the thickness of the spray that I'm putting on. And this is just the first layer on the outside, so this layer is just going to basically all get the same color for now as a very first layer of the piece. And last but not least, you'll see now that I have my color that I'm putting on. So the color areas go over a lot of the features that are on there, like the dragonfly that's on there. Sometimes I'll have motifs of different flowers and things like that. This is getting the highlighted color now, okay? Whether it be blue or green, working in contrast to what I had for my base color, and just kind of giving some depth to it at this point. That's the green glaze that's going on there right now, and that's going to give it some special dimension. Now, you'll notice that I used the water bucket below in order to clean between the frames here, and now how easy it is to put on another color. That's one of the features of this Bailey sprayer that I like a lot, and that's over top of the Critter that we had mentioned before as far as equipment are concerned. Here you'll see me putting an ash glaze on. So this will be our final layer that we have, is an ash glaze over the top of all of the horizontal areas. And this is going to really give a great highlight to all those horizontal areas, and let that ash glaze just kind of sit in those features so that they can be a really nice highlight for the piece. All right, everybody, so that's it. So we have many different layers on here. I guess that's the first takeaway from this, is that my process of preparing all of the things you see behind me in order to go into a full kiln takes me anywhere between 4 and 6 hours in order to get done with all of the glazing. And this gives you a little insight why. So inside of this one, we have a brown ash glaze as the first one. We have called Tundra for the second one, which is a green stony glaze over top of it. And then Clinesville Gold is the one that's over the top. And what that does in testing that I learned is that it looks like a stone on the top. It has a nice edge when it falls. It drips just a little bit, and then it gives a really nice edge with a little bit of blue on it underneath when the underneath is Tundra. And so we're letting that go on the inside. 3 glazes on the inside. On the outside, I have a brown fake ash for the very first one. Then I have a blue and a green over top of that in different spots. And then on the very top, I have a much more runny ash glaze over top of it. And that goes in all of the cuts that I make around the outside, all of the features that you see around the outside here through all the tool work. And so what that does is that, as you will see in the finished product, that then goes into these grooves and creates a dark recess in there. And it also drags a little bit of the color from the top of all of these cuts and gives it sort of a scrimshaw, what I call a scrimshaw highlight on the top. So we're done here. We're ready to put it in the kiln, and we'll see what it looks like when it comes out.